Some people are calling it the perfect tank game as Will Smith scores twice, Macklin Celebrini has 2 points, and the Sharks blow a lead to lose in regulation to the Calgary Flames.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of your favorite lovable losers in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. And today we're going to be talking about the perfect tank game, as again, the young guys score. Celebrini has 2 assists. Will Smith, 2 goals. We're going to be talking about Will Smith and his great end of the season. And the Sharks lose in regulation as their tragic number now hits 6. We'll dig into the numbers behind this game. Plus, we have news about Quentin Musty, Shakir Mukhamadullin, and Jimmy Schultz. So before we get to all that, do have to start by letting you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Okay, let's start with the tank, because at this point of the season, right, it's about getting to that number one, securing the number one odds as quickly as possible, and then getting like personal stats, basically. So the Sharks with this loss now, tragic number is 6 points. So that's a combination of Sharks points forfeited. So basically, right, you go into every game, you can win 2 points. If you don't win, you forfeit said 2 points. So 3 regulation losses plus whatever points the Blackhawks are able to scrounge up. Blackhawks, remember, won yesterday, or they won on Sunday. Tuesday they play the Penguins again, and then they play the Bruins, who have been abysmal since the trade deadline. So we could be potentially talking about this thing locked up by the end of the week. So here is where the actual tank standings are as of right now. San Jose, 77 games played, 50 points, 14 regulation wins, 6 losses in a row, 2-7-1 in their last 10. Chicago, 77 points, 77 games played, 54 points, 19 regulation wins. They won their last game, 2-7-1. The Sharks, even if they have 5 games left, even if they won all 5 games, there's no way for them to drop past second heading into the draft lottery odds. They're going to be at least with the one of the 2 best odds going into the draft lottery. And just as a reminder, the farthest you can drop down is 2 spots. So even if the absolute worst thing that happens on the draft lottery, the Sharks drop down 2 spots, they'd be picking 3rd in the draft in the first round. So you're still looking at like Higgins or Porter Martone or one of those type of players. So that is where we're at with the draft. So from tonight, I think, other than the perfectly executed tank, we'll talk more about that in the second segment. We dig behind the numbers. We have to start with Will Smith, who continues to be absolutely electric for the San Jose Sharks. He has now scored 25 points in his last 29 games. Yes, what a performance by Mr. Smith, who has been one of the biggest stories of the San Jose Sharks this year, right? And you go back to the beginning of the year, all the like, what are we doing here? What do we do with this guy? He needs to be playing in the AHL. Why is he sitting games, et cetera, et cetera. I've talked about it before, but looks like Mike Greer and his staff knew exactly what they were doing. Even if you go right the draft, why did you draft this guy, et cetera, et cetera. And yes, I know Michkov's really good too. And just a reminder, Michkov wasn't coming here. So, but still, Will Smith looks like the real deal. And what I love about the way Will Smith's scoring lately, look at where he's scoring from, right? Again, Smith, not the biggest dude, but he is getting to the net and scoring goals close to the net, right? And yes, he has a beautiful shot where he can score from outside, but you're looking at how he, like, off the rebound, playing like that is how goal scorers score, right? Of course, Will Smith's gonna have plenty of highlight reel goals, but it looks like he's learning a couple things from fun Uncle Tyler Toffoli with the way he is scoring goals, of getting to the net and being able to score some of those greasy goals. And none of the goals he scored tonight were greasy; they were all very well earned. But it is just that evolution of Will Smith and what he is doing and what he's going to be becoming for the San Jose Sharks. Just great to see in this young player. And I think really drives home the fact that, one, we need to be patient with players. Two, players are going to get better from the beginning of the season, especially young players like Will Smith are going to get better from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. So they are not a finished product in October. And I think Will Smith is paramount to that. So for the Sharks, though, in this game, right, it felt like a game of two halves, where the first part of this game, they were dominating Calgary. They ended the first period with 18-8 shots on goal. And they had one goal to show for it, right? Now, I thought this game was going to be a little bit more of a slugfest. And while it was very choppy and a lot of stops and starts, the Sharks were able to generate a lot more offense in the beginning of the game, but just were unable to score. And you can point to Dustin Wolf. I'm not taking anything from Georgi Romanov. Was absolutely brilliant tonight. And I thought he had a very good game and is, I think, more than deserving to continue to get some starts down the stretch here. Because again, like, I think he's earned that opportunity. But Dustin Wolf made some fantastic saves, especially there's 2 or 3 on Macklin Celebrini that should have been goals. And Dustin Wolf just I think Dustin Wolf stole this game from Calgary, because if the Sharks get up early and maybe it's 2-0 or 3-0 early in the second period, I just don't know if Calgary has yes, I know they scored 3 goals in the third, but like, it's a different game there, right? Where the Sharks can kind of be, they can be a little bit more detail oriented and not have to kind of press for offense. And you wonder if Dustin Wolf doesn't make some of those saves and the Sharks do get up 2 or 3-0, if Calgary just doesn't have the resources, I guess, or to be able to kind of crawl back into a game like that. So, but again, the perfect tank game, right? You lost in regulation. Macklin Celebrini had 2 assists. Will Smith had 2 goals. And the bottom 6, like, okay, like, good tonight. Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. We'll talk about that more here in a second. But overall, though, I think the big takeaway was Dustin Wolf saved Calgary early in this game until they were able to find their offense. And the Sharks offense went into the tank, pun intended, in the third period. And I think that's the big difference in this game. And yes, I know Will Smith got a late power play goal to kind of put a little bit of lipstick on the pig and give the Sharks a little bit of hope there at the end. But man, if he had got a hat trick tonight, that would have been really fun. But still, yeah, I think the Dustin Wolf kept the Flames in it, and the Sharks just weren't kind of able to take advantage early in this game, especially when they were putting all the pressure. So we'll dig into the numbers behind this game a little bit more. Talk about this third line, the bottom 6 that looked really good. Dig into Romanov's night some more, and Kovalenko looking really solid tonight. So we'll get to all that here in just 1 second. Ever check your bank account, wonder, where did all my money go between dining out online shopping, entertainment, or if you're like me, just having to buy snacks for your kids is easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility, control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spend in one place so you can stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever, too. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page about the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. All right, before we continue, we dig into the numbers behind this game. Of course, want to thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. If you haven't yet, perfect time to subscribe. Even though the season is winding down, off season is where we shine here at Locked On Sharks. Between getting you ready for the draft with draft previews and draft profiles, we have $40 million to spend in free agency this summer. So that's a lot of guac that we're going to try to throw out there and try to figure out who fits for the Sharks this offseason. So make sure you follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. All right. The numbers behind this game. So we had 51 minutes of 5v5 time. Sharks had 3 power play opportunities. They scored on 1 at the very end. The Flames had 1 power play opportunity. They scored on their 1 and only power play to give them a 2-1 lead. But 5-on-5 shot attempts 63-47 in favor of the Flames. That is 57.27 to 42.73% Corsi for. Actual shots on goal at 5-on-5, 31-28. Scoring chances 32-22 in favor of the Flames. 11-9 high danger chances in favor of the Sharks. 2.58 to 2.32 expected goals for in favor of the Flames. The Sharks were controlling the tempo, especially the end of the first period. They really took control. They played pretty well throughout the second, but the end of right after that Sharks power play, if you look at the shot attempts, it just craters into the Flames territory. If you're looking on Natural Stat Trick, 18. Even starting in the second period, it was 23-12 shot attempts in favor of the Flames. 18-7 in the third period, where the Flames were trying to start their comeback. Actual shots at 5-on-5, 12-3 in the third period in favor of the Flames. High danger chances 5-1 in favor. Like, the Sharks played really well in the first. Like, they controlled the shot attempts. They had more high danger chances. Like, the expected goals for, all in favor of the Sharks. But we saw in the third period, the offense went in the tank. So something that we have talked about multiple times, it is going to be like, until they learn how to do it, it's going to be a thing, is like, can you find that extra gear in the third period when you need it the most? So yes. Looking at the line, so we had no Tyler Toffoli, who is out with this game with a lower body injury. He is traveling with the team on this road trip here, so hopefully we see him Wednesday. If not, I would assume we see him by Friday, would be my guess. So Wednesday they play the Wild. We're also a desperate team trying to clinch a playoff spot / catch the Blues now, which is a weird thing to say after 2 weeks ago. You would have never had to say that, right? Because you don't want to play the Jets in the first round. So I guess you don't want to play Vegas in the first round either, but still. So they're also in a, we need those points. And then they play Edmonton, who is lost to the Ducks tonight. Anyway, so Toffoli didn't play tonight. So we had Eklund Wenberg, Colin Graff, who played 14-48, 10-16 shot attempts, 6-9 actual shots, 0.57 to 0.58 expected goals for, 7-13 scoring chances, and 4-3 high danger chances. I thought this line looked really good early. Colin Graff was flying around the first period. Same thing with William Eklund. I know he had several shot attempts as well. Almost had a goal early, right? Colin Graff made a really nice play to Eklund, kind of creates a little mini breakaway. Eklund just not able to score early in the game, right? If Eklund has scored there again, do the Sharks kind of start run away with it? Maybe the game kind of snowballs on the Flames here. But Wenberg, though, like, good first two periods. That third period was not Wenberg's best. Brutal giveaway on the Coronado goal that made it 3-1. But I think, though, Wenberg, like, you're going to have some of those moments, and I'm not worried about Alex Wenberg any way, shape, or form. I think Wenberg's been very good for the Sharks, especially after the trade deadline. Just a brutal third period tonight for Wenberg. Will Smith, Macklin, Celebrini, and Nikolai Kovalenko. 11:49, 12-17 shot attempts, but actual shots on goal was 9-7. Did have a goal for 0.59 to 0.64 expected goals in favor of the Flames. 8-7 scoring chances, 42 high danger chances. I thought for the most part, Kovalenko looked really good on this line. And you do worry with all these young guys. I know Kovalenko's 25, but still his first year. You do worry sometimes with how a line like this will perform. And I thought overall they did perform pretty well tonight, right? And you saw some of the chemistry, again, especially on that first goal with Will Smith kind of getting to the front of the net, Kovalenko making a nice pass. And they did spend a fair amount of time in their own zone as well. So you're good. And Macklin felt like he took some long shifts tonight. So I do feel like Macklin, he's really close to just break. Like, I think we're going to get like a like 3 goals in 2 games type of performance from Macklin here really soon, because he's been on the doorstep multiple times to scoring. And I feel like we're going to see an avalanche of goals from Celebrini here at the end of the season. So, but overall, I thought Kovalenko did a solid job kind of filling in for Toffoli tonight. I would like to see him in the lineup more compared to some of the other guys here in the bottom 6. But overall, like, I don't think you can kind of, point to a bad performance from this line tonight. So Goudreau, Ostapchuk, and Grundstrom, 8:49, 17-11 shot attempts, 8-4 actual shots. No goals for, no goals allowed. 0.51 to 0.16 expected goals. 4-1 scoring chances. 2-0 high danger chances. This line was great tonight. They had several shifts where they just spent kind of hardworking shifts. They got the cycle going. Grundstrom playing like his job depended on it tonight. I thought this line played really well tonight and probably should have been rewarded with a goal, like a hardworking goal, the way they played. So Grundstrom was definitely the highlight on this line. But this line, like, if the line plays like that, that's fine. It's just we've gotten like one of these performances from this bottom line in forever. So hopefully this is something that can build off. Again, Grundstrom, who's been one of those guys that's kind of been in and out of the lineup, hopefully he can kind of continue to build on this performance as well. So, and then Gregor, Delangere, and Cam Lund, 7-28, 5-10 shot attempts, 2-6 actual shots, 1 goal allowed, 0.26 to 0.48 expected goals for, and 3-5 scoring chances, 1-1 high danger chances. Gregor had a couple moments here. I thought Lund was pretty quiet tonight. He did draw a penalty, which is good. But I think overall this line was pretty quiet tonight for San Jose. So want to talk about Romanov really quick before we kind of end this game here. Like I said, I thought Romanov was excellent tonight. He, in all situations, 29 saves on 32 shots, 3 goals against on 2.68 expected goals against, 906 save percentage, 5 of 6 on high danger saves, 11 of 12 on mid danger, 11 of 12 on low danger. Like 2-on-1, not much you can do there. Power play, that Frost goal that was a really nice goal. And Huberto was blocking him. And the last one, Wenberg basically gets a pizza, gives up that's an easy play for Coronado there. None of the goals I'm faulting on him. And I thought he made some big saves when he had to. He had a really good night tonight. And I thought he continues to battle, as I talked about with Romanov before. He continues to battle, and I thought tonight was easily his best performance in the NHL. For he's due for his first win here. So maybe once we lock up that best odds, then we need to get Romanov a win in the NHL this year. So we're gonna put a bow on this game because we have Musty and Mukhamadullin and Jimmy Schultz stuff to talk about. So we're gonna get to three of those guys and kind of what it means for the Barracuda here right after this. You just realized your business needs to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast, easy? Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you find the right candidates faster. If you've ever been put in the spot where you need to hire like yesterday, the pressure's on, and every day without the right person is a setback, that's exactly when Indeed sponsored jobs come in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. And now you can speed up the hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/locked on right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. All right, before we finish up, of course want to thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night, until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, big news today. We'll start with we'll do the what's the old compliment sandwich, right? Where you do something good, something negative, and then something good at the end. So we'll start with Quentin Musty, who was officially assigned to the San Jose Barracuda after waiting all weekend, right? I did say Monday. Monday was going to be the day to kind of know, especially with the Barracuda kind of get practicing and stuff. They play on Wednesday in Ontario. So we knew Monday was kind of a big day. I don't expect Chernyshov. Maybe we get Chernyshov assigned here like in the middle of the week, and maybe he can kind of get ready to ramp up for the weekend. So we don't know if Musty's going to play on Wednesday, but I'm hoping he does because this Barracuda team desperately needs some more scoring. And this is a big game for the Barracuda as their magic number is 5 points now to try to lock up a playoff spot. So getting a win here in Ontario would go a long, long way. And then you have two home games this weekend against the Wranglers, who you are fighting for a playoff spot for. So big weekend for the Barracuda. But getting Quentin Musty is huge as he now gets to start his professional career. Long awaited, I know, for many of us who've been, following Musty, since the Sharks drafted him in 2023, which I know is it's 2 years now, but it feels like forever, especially with the road that Musty has had this season. So I'm excited to see where Musty kind of fits in the lineup. I talked about it the other day, some more about kind of where I picture him, but the thought occurred to me as I was watching the Sharks game, because remember Colin Graff, who is eligible to play in the AHL playoffs and should play in the AHL playoffs because he'd be a huge addition to the Barracuda. Quentin Musty, Andrew Podorowski, Colin Graff, all on a line together. Like, sign me up for that, baby, because that sounds extremely fun. So yes, we'll see where when Quentin Musty makes his debut, we'll see where he kind of fits in and stuff. Again, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I hope we get to see him on Wednesday because the Barracuda could desperately use some more scoring power. So bad news, though, as we kind of expected, Shakir Mukhamadullin season is over with an upper body injury. We probably won't find out until the summer or probably early in training camp what it actually is. But season's over, AHL playoff, he's done for the years. We all kind of expected, right? Especially when the news came out that his arm was in a sling. And if you saw the injury, right, it felt like that's either dislocated shoulder. That's kind of what it felt like. So assuming he probably has or needs surgery for it, right? The William Eklund timeline was 2 to 3 months. Should be ready to go for training camp, but still 2 to 3 months. That's like the playoffs will be done by then. So you feel bad for Mukhamadullin now because that's 2 seasons in a row where his season has been ended by injuries. This one, was definitely not a that was a dirty hit. Like 100% was a dirty hit. So you feel bad for him. You hope that like next year being in the NHL lineup full time, like it does feel like though he has kind of set himself up to going into training camp to be an NHL defenseman, especially the way they were utilizing him down the stretch, the way he was playing. Again, he was easily having his best game in a few weeks. In the game that he got hurt against the Ducks, Frank Vetrano, you're on the list. But yeah, I do think Mukhamadullin is set up and to be ready to go and have a great, hopefully he can have a strong offseason and be like good to go for training camp and solidify himself as a Sharks defenseman next year and just no more of this AHL stuff. Like he's a full-time NHL defenseman because I think he is a full-time NHL defenseman. And we've got to see glimpses and flashes of what he can do on an NHL team. I think he still can be as I said, I think he can be a quality player for the Sharks going forward. So a quality player for the Barracuda, Jimmy Schultz got reassigned. So good news for the Barracuda because again, he's their captain, right? He's one of, if not the best defensive defenseman in the AHL. Last game, right? The Barracuda had to roll out the whole weekend. They had to roll out 6 rookie defensemen, and I thought they played really well. I talked about it, on the recap over the weekend, where I thought all those guys played really well, and it wasn't the defense's problem. I think it was the lack of offense from the Barracuda right now. But getting a guy like Jimmy Schultz to kind of, just calm the waters, be able to play big minutes in what are big time games for the Barracuda, right? It's basically playoffs for the Barracuda right now. Even though the playoffs haven't started, it feels like the playoffs where they need to be try to get as many points as they can here to 1, solidify playoff spot, and 2, solidify their playoff positioning here because I think that there's still a good chance that they could be the 4 in the playoffs here. I don't know, like it would take some help, but they do have an opportunity to be like hosting a playoff series here if they can kind of get their act together at the end of the season here. So yeah, where are they at? They are 4 points behind the Coachella Firebirds. They do play them. They play Coachella on Wednesday, not Ontario. They do play Coachella. So that's a big game. If you can win that game and then you're 2 points behind and then you got the Wranglers coming up in Ontario, like there's plenty of opportunities for the Barracuda. It's in their hands. So they definitely need to win this game here. So but having Jimmy Schultz back is just going to be a huge addition for them. So especially with Askarov now, you get Jimmy Schultz. If you can hang in there this weekend, you start getting some more reinforcements for next weekend and the following weekend series. When the Sharks season is over, you're basically going to get everyone back, including Jack Thompson, Lucas Carlson, Colin Graff, Stopcheck. You have a lot of players coming back to the Barracuda here really soon. So, but let's try to punch your ticket this weekend. So that's gonna be it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow. Hope we got something good on the books. I'm not gonna, in case something falls through, but we do have something good on the books for tomorrow. So make sure you're following along wherever you get podcasts, and of course you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Until tomorrow. Bye, friends.